Sleeper Wire, the only fantasy football radio show with more than a dozen multi-time, multi-league, multi-year champions. Listen to the Sleeper Wire show every Friday, 4 to 6 p.m. Eastern on Dash Talk.
Hey everybody, before we start the show, I just want to tell you once again about pristineauction.com, website that has daily auctions ending every single night with hundreds of items that are perfect for your man cave. Everything is JSA certified. They use the best authenticators in the business. It's definitely affordable. It's 100% free to register and bid, and you only pay when you win. Go to pristineauction.com and let them know that you heard about it from Sleeperwire. That's PRISTINE auction.com.
I challenge you to a duel. It's the only argument I need.
I don't want to talk to you no more, you.
You got a lot of nerve.
Soon you will know what it is like to be defeated.
Stop defending him, Sean.
All right, let's go.
I'm ready for love.
Hey Sleepers, and welcome to the Sleeper Wire Great Debate Show, where we do a fast debate between two players. I'm your host, Professor Chris, on Twitter at CMOR Sleeperwire, and with me is our Sleeper Wire prophet, Hoos, on Twitter at Sleeperwire Hoos. What's up, man?
Pretty good, man. How's it going, Chris? How would you do in your leagues?
Depending on how Kareem Hunt does tonight, I'm either 9-3 or 10-2. So it's a much better week.
So you're 10-2. Kareem Hunt's phenomenal.
Yeah, so. if he does Kareem Hunt things, I'm going to be 10-2. What about you, man?
Very nice. Not so great. I ended up going 8-5. Man, I'm 0-4 for the first time in our league of record. It's never happened in my life. But I'm hoping to pull a footballers like they did in our Pro-Am last year. It went 0-4 and it went all the way to the championship. So.
Yes, they did.
Follow they lead, so.
Yeah, they turned it around real quick. They drafted David Johnson, then Lev Bell in the second, and then took off.
Yeah, yep. Only you don't have David Johnson or Lev Bell. I don't know. Yeah. We'll see. Yeah. We'll see.
All right, well, guys, what we're going to be doing here is having an actual debate-style argument between two players. We'll spend 2 minutes arguing for our player, 1 minute for rebuttals, and then we'll wrap it up with our final thoughts. This week, we got a good one due to a bunch of injuries. And it's Jerick McKinnon versus Alex Collins. I've got Jerick McKinnon, and Hoos has Alex Collins, and I'm going to go ahead and kick it off. Dalvin Cook's torn ACL devastated a lot of fantasy owners' teams this week. So naturally, when an RB1 goes down, we have to bring up the backup in the great debate. My initial thought was Latavius Murray, and then as soon as we picked players, an alert came out that said Murray still isn't 100%, and that's when I switched to McKinnon. McKinnon is a guy who absolutely needs to be owned. He's shown that he can handle a full workload. Last season, he had games of 16, 18, 20, 16, 14, and 16 carries. So he can handle being given the ball, a lot during a game. He had 159 carries last season, 539 yards, and he added 43 catches for 255 yards, averaging 5.9 yards per catch. Those 159 carries, that puts him right around the range of Robert Kelly, Ryan Matthews, and Bilal Powell last season, if we're talking in terms of carries. And all of those guys had some great fantasy games for you. Jerick McKinnon is a small guy. He's only 5'9", but he's fast. He ran a 4.41 40, put up some very impressive numbers at the combine, both lifting and with a 40.5-inch vertical, which is just really, really good for a running back. He's a tough runner. He's always trying to slam into defenders to fall forward for an extra yard or two. Latavius Murray is the only other guy in that backfield right now. And as I mentioned, he's still not 100% from his most recent injury. And let's not forget how many injuries he's had throughout his career. He's prone to concussions, and he's definitely prone to foot injuries. Look, I know they signed Latavius Murray to a deal over the offseason, but McKinnon is in a great position to succeed as the Vikings running back. He's someone that does need to be picked up this week, especially if you're in a PPR league.
All right, Jerick McKinnon. I mean, the guy has had his time to shine. He's had not so great looking Adrian Peterson last year. And he just hasn't really done anything with his attempts. You know, he had Matt Asiata there. You know, now he's got Latavius Murray. And they went out and got Dalvin Cook. The coaching staff obviously didn't believe in him too much. Now, sure, yeah, they did have to go out and get some running backs. So it's not like they didn't need backs. But the fact that they went out and, got a Dalvin Cook, yeah, and he did fall to them. So granted, it's not like the Dalvin Cook, the fact that they went out and got a Dalvin Cook, they got a Latavius Murray. Sure, Latavius Murray is banged up right now, but the guy did have 12 touchdowns last year. So it's not like we can't go out there and say that, this is going to be a Jerick McKinnon backfield. What is he going to give you? At best, he's going to give you, PPR. He's not going to do much for you as far as scoring outside of a PPR. And he's had his chance already. So I just don't really see it from a Jerick McKinnon. There's other guys there. And they even have CJ Ham who's vulturing touchdowns. So I just don't really see a role that's good enough for him to be picked up off of waivers, other than just a stash guy. But I don't really see much else.
All right, so there you got our thoughts for and against Jerick McKinnon. Let's go ahead and move over to Alex Collins. Hoos, give me your thoughts on Collins.
Alex Collins, man. Well, if I could tell you that, would you want to pick up a guy off of waivers that's within 20? He's 18th actually on the list in rushing yards, and he's only had 25 carries. That's Alex Collins. He was the first freshman SEC history to rush for 300 yards in 3 consecutive games while splitting time with Jonathan Williams. Alex became the third player in SEC history to rush over 1,000 yards in 3 seasons, putting him in Herschel Walker, Darren McFadden territory. He was named second team All SEC his junior year, mostly because Alabama's Derrick Henry and Leonard Fournette outrushed him, and they were All Americans. Now, while his college numbers were fun, Collins just had 10 or fewer yards less than Shady McCoy on the season this far, and he has more rushing yards than the likes of Melvin Gordon, Gillislee, Jay Ajayi, Crowell, and even Ty Montgomery. So he's posting a ridiculous 8.2 yards right now per carry, only behind the GOAT Kareem Hunt. And, of course, my main man, Chris Thompson, put up 8.5 yards per carry. Alex is getting tired of passed on. Man, this guy just keeps getting passed on. You got Jonathan Williams. You got Terrence West. You even had Jeremy Langford pass him up off of the practice squad. This guy's running with fire. He's the most explosive thing they got back there, and they'd be silly not to continue giving the ball to him. He's at an explosive 50-yard scamper, a 23-yard one before that. This guy's no fluke. He had the same exact stat line the week before, 9 for 82, against the defense that's number 2 in the league, right behind the Lions, the Jaguars. So, I mean, he has 25 carries on the season, 206 yards. Yeah, he lost 2 fumbles, but, I mean, so did Hunt. During his NFL debut, are we relegating him? No. Granted, he doesn't have the same role. He is just taking Terrence West's production here. You do have Buck Allen there. You still have
2 things really matter when it comes to running backs. Opportunity is the big one, and can they hold on to the ball? Turnovers are the thing that Alex Collins has going against him. He fumbled 17 times throughout his career at Arkansas. 17. And he's already fumbled twice, losing both of them. He just flat out has trouble holding onto the ball, and he's had trouble holding onto the ball for his entire career. Second, he doesn't have a great opportunity. This is a running back by committee with no good options. Terrence West, Javorius Allen, and Alex Collins are all getting work. Nobody's taking the lead, and that includes Collins. He's had games of 7, 9, and 9 rushing attempts, and let's face it, he's not going to get 82 yards on 9 carries every single time. He doesn't have any catches on the season, so he hasn't been useful in PPR. If he were to get the ball regularly, then maybe I'd feel differently, but the opportunity just isn't there. As long as Terrence West and Buck Allen are still in that backfield, nobody is going to be fantasy relevant, and let's not forget Danny Woodhead. Before we wrap it up with our final thoughts, I've got one more thing to mention. Giving another shout out to another sponsor of the Great Debate, Fantasy Champs. We have a special offer for 10% off your order at fantasychamps.com. They have the best hardware for your fantasy football league, including championship trophies, championship rings, championship belts, and they even offer loser trophies if you want to humiliate the guy who comes in last place. Go on fantasychamps.com and use the promo code SLEEPERS for 10% off your order. All right, guys, wrapping it up with our final thoughts, we're going to go ahead and move back to Jerick McKinnon. Like I said before, with Alex Collins not getting the work or the opportunity, especially once Danny Woodhead is back, the same is not true for McKinnon. The injury-prone Latavius Murray is going to split carries with McKinnon, but of the two, McKinnon has a much better opportunity, and he's going to be better in PPR with his pass-catching abilities. Let's also not forget that Matt Asiata, who was a big touchdown vulture from McKinnon last year, is no longer in Minnesota. This is a guy who needs to be owned.
Jerick McKinnon, I don't know. I can't buy into that guy after so long of not doing so much. And he does have a guy, a big boulder of a back called C.J. Ham that's going to be there vulturing. He already did vulture Cook once or twice on the season. And I know the coach's staff said that they're going to have a short leash, but Wes has been terrible. I mean, and the guy's just been on fire. The team would be insane not to give this guy 25 times against, facing Oakland, who just gave up over 120 yards against Denver's backs. So, I mean, you got his past two performances was tied fourth highest yards with by Baltimore running backs since 2015. Baltimore wants more of that. I mean, yeah, Woodhead's going to come back, but he's taking Wes's role. He's not taking Buck Allen's role. He's have a very safe floor. He's a standard guy. Yeah, sure. The touchdowns, we don't know yet, but he's a great stash. He's a great guy that's going to be able to start in a standard league. You could start him pretty much any week unless, you got to pay attention to the fumbles. But again, this guy's a lotto ticket. 8.2 yards a carry on 25 carries. It's no fluke. I mean, he did it the week before. So, I mean, I'd just say he's probably going to be the most steadier guy with a higher lotto potential.
All right, guys. Well, hey, that's going to wrap it up for our great debate. Couple final things before we go. I want to encourage you guys to go to www.sleeperwire.com. Check out our weekly rankings. Submit a question to the Sleeperwire crew. You can find us on Twitter at Sleeperwire Show. You can find us on Sleeperbot. I'm on there at Professor Chris. Hoos is on there at Prophet Hoos. The Fantasy Life app at Professor Chris and Hoos the Prophet. And Instagram at Professor Chris SW as well. And don't forget to check out our Dash Radio show every Friday from 4 to 6 p.m. on Dash Talk. Thanks for listening, guys. We'll catch you next time.